Hey, it's Bill Russell. I'm here in my yellow hat. I wore it at Vive and Hims to signify our partnership with Alex's Lemonade Stand Foundation and the search for cures and to combat childhood cancer. I'm just blown away by the generosity of our community. With the help of our partners, SureTest, Rackspace, CTG, and some of you giving individually, we were able to raise close to $40,000 at those two events. It is just exceptional. And I would like to thank all of you who have joined us in this cause. If you would like to be a part of it as well, go ahead and hit our page, thisweekhealth.com. You can go to the top blue banner that is on our homepage and click on that to give today. Thank you again for being a part of this effort and this cause. Today in Health IT, we're going to take a look at a cautionary tale, something to keep in the back of your head. My name is Bill Russell. I'm a former CIO for a 16-hospital system and creator of This Week Health, a set of channels and events dedicated to transform healthcare one connection at a time. We want to thank our show sponsors who are investing in developing the next generation of health leaders: SureTest, Artisight, Parlance, Certify Health, Notable, and ServiceNow. Great companies. Check them out at thisweekhealth.com/today. We're going to be talking news today. Anytime we talk about a news story on this show, you can check it out at thisweekhealth.com/news. Still in beta, but you can take a look at it. Give me some feedback. Just DM me. Let me know what you think. All right. Hey, we're still doing our fundraiser for childhood cancer with Alex's Lemonade Stand. We're up around 50, I don't know what we are, right around $60,000 for the year. I'm so impressed with the generosity of our community. We still want to go through that number. If you get a chance, hit the website, top right-hand corner. You can see a link to the lemonade stand you can give there. Thank you once again for your great generosity in making this a reality this year. And next year, we are going to set a much higher goal. We'll see what happens. All right, one last thing. Share this podcast with a friend or colleague. Get the conversation going. Use it as a foundation for daily or weekly discussions on the topics that are relevant to you in the industry. They can subscribe wherever you listen to podcasts. All right, today, our cautionary tale. SEC charges SolarWinds and Chief Information Security Officer with fraud and internal control failures. Let me get my glasses. Again, you can hit this on our website. There's a link there. Let's see, October 30th, 2023, the Security and Exchange Commission today announced charges against Austin, Texas-based software company SolarWinds Corporation and its Chief Information Security Officer, Timothy G. Brown, even named, wow, for fraud and internal control failures relating to allegedly known cybersecurity risks and vulnerabilities. The complaint alleges that from at least its October 2018 initial public offering through at least its December 2020 announcement, that it was the target of a massive, nearly 2-year-long cyber attack dubbed Sunburst, SolarWinds and Brown defrauded investors by overstating SolarWinds' cybersecurity practices and understating or failing to disclose known risks. In its filings with the SEC during this period, SolarWinds allegedly misled investors by disclosing only generic and hypothetical risks at a time when the company and Brown knew of specific deficiencies in SolarWinds' cybersecurity practices, as well as increasingly elevated risks the company faced at the same time. Wow, this is a cautionary tale. This is exactly what not to do. If you're the CISO, put it back on the leadership. Tell them the truth. This is what's going on. This is what's happening. And get that in the public record. Get it in the board notes. Get it in the meeting minutes. Get it in whatever. Here's the presentation I gave to the board. This CISO should not be left out to dry unless they did not do those things. It should not be incumbent on the CISO to stand in that gap. It should be incumbent upon them to make people aware of the risks and give them the ability to make the decisions they need to make. Anyway, going to go on. As the complaint alleges, SolarWinds' public statements about its cybersecurity practices and risks were at odds with its internal assessments, including a 2018 presentation prepared by a company engineer and shared internally, including with Brown, that SolarWinds' remote access setup was not very secure, and that someone exploiting the vulnerability can basically do whatever without us detecting it until it's too late, which could lead to major reputation and financial loss. Wow, that person should be promoted for SolarWinds. Similarly, as alleged in the SEC complaint, 2018 and 2019 presentations by Brown stated respectively that the current state of security leaves us in a very vulnerable state for our critical assets, and that access and privilege to critical systems data is inappropriate. Let's see, let me skip a little bit here. In addition, the SEC's complaint alleges that multiple communications among SolarWinds employees, including Brown, throughout 19 and 20, questioned the company's ability to protect its critical assets from cyber attacks. For example, according to the SEC's complaint, in June 2020, while investigating a cyber attack on a SolarWinds customer, Brown wrote that it was very concerning that the attacker may have been looking to use SolarWinds Orion software in larger attacks because our backends are not that resilient. So maybe he was communicating this out. It's very interesting. In a September 2020 internal document shared with Brown and others stated the volume of security issues being identified over the last month have outstripped the capacity of engineering teams to resolve. Wow, man. Let's see. We allege that for years, SolarWinds and Brown ignored repeated red flags about SolarWinds cyber risks, which were well known throughout the company, and led one of Brown's subordinates to conclude, "We're so far from being a security-minded company," said the director of SEC's Division of Enforcement. Rather than address these vulnerabilities, SolarWinds and Brown engaged in a campaign to paint a false picture. That's where they lost it, right there. A campaign to paint a false picture of the company's cyber controls environment. You have to admit there's a problem, address the problem, secure the environment, make people aware of what's going on. And they created a larger problem for the entire industry. And that's probably the so what for this. I try to end these things with the so. What does this mean for us? First of all, you are not a leader who stands in isolation. It is not your job to defend the entire organization. You are part of a team. If you work for a health system, you are part of a team. And depending on where you are in that ladder, your job is to communicate the risks and the things that you see to the level that's appropriate. If that's the next level up and let them do with it what they may, that's your job. And if you're the CISO, you need to communicate it to whoever you report to. That could be a board. It could be a joint reporting if you are a peer of the CIO to maybe a chief security officer or a president or chief operating officer. If you report to the CIO, you're incumbent upon it yourself to make that person aware of it and spell out the risks. Here's what we're seeing. Here's what's going on. Here's what is possible if we do not address this. Make it very clear as you possibly can. If the CIO decides not to take that to the board, that's the CIO's prerogative and their risk. Not one they should take. If you're a CIO listening to this, you should take that to the board immediately. In fact, you should take that to the executive team immediately. Take that to the CEO as soon as you possibly can. Get on the phone, let them know, hey, I've got a critical issue we need to discuss. Get over there and have the conversation. Let the organization respond to these things. Give them the information they need to respond. Give them the path and the risks associated with it. Be as clear as you possibly can. This is not an indication on you and your ability to do your job. Your job is to let people know where we are deficient. And if that's a mistake you made, it's better to make that mistake and fess up to that mistake than it is to expose the company to huge fines and potentially other worse consequences. Anyway, that's all for today. Don't forget, share this podcast with a friend or colleague. Keep the conversation going. We want to thank our channel sponsors who are investing in our mission to develop the next generation of health leaders. SureTest, Artisight, Parlance, Certify Health, Notable, and ServiceNow. Check them out at thisweekhealth.com/today. Thanks for listening. That's all for now.